Hey, this is Queen here at New World. Yesterday I was cat sitting and I didn't get any rest because, for those of you who don't know, I got a new baby kitten. But anyways, um, so I was scrolling along, just minding my own business, and I came across this interesting information about the alpha male theory. So the guy that is going to be speaking. His name is Franz DeWaal, and apparently he wrote a book about alpha males based off of his studies of I think they're like chimpanzees or apes or something, some type of monkey. And after that, the alpha male movement went viral. Okay, so he wants to give his basic knowledge of an alpha male, and it's so interesting to hear what he has to say, being the creator and all. According to what he said, I don't know, I ain't look him up, I don't care, but I think the information is very interesting, and I think it would be interesting for you all to hear. Also, if you like the content, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you would know when I bring a video to you. Just note, for those of you who are new here, I am going to commentate throughout the video, so be wary of that. If you don't like that type of stuff, then I holla. All right, let's get to it.
Well, I have known many alpha males in my life. Chimpanzee alpha males.
Chimpanzee.
And I'm going to talk about what an alpha male is, and because I think we can learn a lot from our close relatives where we have alpha males. And as an example, I want to give you Amos, a male that I knew, who was a young male, and he was alpha male, was very popular, but he got sick. And he lost his position because, you know, chimpanzee males, they can spot from a mile away if you're weak. And they went for him, and he lost his position. And then he got sicker and sicker until at some point we had to isolate him. The group lived on a grassy island, and we had to isolate him in a cage. But we cracked open the cage so that the rest of the chimps still had access to him. And what happened was most touching. Other chimps would bring food to him. They would bring wood wool to him, which is the thing that they used to sleep in, build nests out of. And the females would put the wood wool behind his back. He was leaning heavily against the wall. And the way we do with pillows to patients in a hospital, they were putting that stuff behind his back. And I thought, this is the way to go for an alpha male. He was loved and respected, and everyone was taking care of him. And this is not always how it goes, because some males don't end so well when they lose their position. So Amos was an example of a male who was liked as a leader. And I think the term alpha male, if you look it up on the internet, you will find all these business books that tell you how to be an alpha male. And what they mean is how to beat up others and beat them over the head and let them know that you're a boss and don't mess with me and so on. And basically an alpha male for them is a bully.
Did you catch that? All this new information that's coming about excuse me, all of the new information that's coming about the alpha male is basically telling men how to become a bully. Pay attention.
And I really don't like that kind of description because I'm actually partly responsible for the term alpha male because I wrote the book Chimpanzee Politics, which was recommended by Newt Gingrich.
Newt Gingrich recommended his book that he wrote about chimpanzees, and then men took his theory about chimpanzees, applied it to themselves, and became bullies. Pay attention.
Freshman congressman. I don't know what good it did, but he recommended that book to them. And after that, the term alpha male became very popular. But I think it is used in a mischaracterization. It's used in a very superficial way that doesn't relate to what a real alpha male is. And so I'm here to explain what that is. The term itself goes back actually much further, goes back to the 40s and 50s, research on wolves. And basically the definition is very simple. The highest ranking male is the alpha male. The highest ranking female is the alpha female. Every primate group has one alpha male, one alpha female. Not more than that. There's only one. And I will explain how that goes.
Now, he just explained what an actual alpha is. He says there's only one dominant or alpha male and only one dominant alpha female, meaning one chief, everybody else is Indians. So you can't have all these alpha males in this society. There's one chief, and everybody else is the Indian. That's a little different than what we've been hearing. Pay attention.
So, first the body language. What you see here is two male chimpanzees who are the same size. But one is walking upright, has his hair up, or has a big rock in his hand, and he's the alpha male. The other male is pant-grunting to him, is being submissive to him, and bowing for him. And that is a sort of ritual they need to go through many times a day in order to have a stable relationship.
So what he's saying, if you're an alpha male, you are not submissive to any other males. If you hold the position of being submissive to another group of men or a singular man, then it is impossible for you to be an alpha male. So let's look at our current society. Who's on the bottom when it comes to male dominance? Because we're in a patriarchal system. Anybody who is submissive to another man or group of men cannot be alpha. It is impossible. Even with animals. Pay attention.
I'll show you a video from the field. What you will see here is a female pant-grunting to an alpha male, and you will see how that goes. The male is approaching. She grunts at him. He has all his hair up, and he displays. I'm actually standing far too close. A chimpanzee is far stronger than I am, and this was not very prudent, this particular video. So what you saw him do is he was lifting himself up and standing on two legs and putting his arms out. That's called the bipedal swagger. It's a very common posture in high-ranking males, and it's very recognizable because humans do this kind of stuff. Humans do this all the time. And what I really like about this particular picture is the two old guys to the side. This is very chimpanzee. In chimpanzees, we have usually old males who are over the hill, who cannot be alpha male themselves anymore, but they start playing games and forming coalitions and behind the backs of others, and they become extremely influential. And you may actually have old males who are more influential than the alpha male himself. Just as an example, the three males that I used to work with most at the Dutch Zoo long ago, where I worked, the middle male here is a 17-year-old alpha male. The male who is grooming on the side is twice as old, and this old male has made him the leader. So you can imagine that that old male has an enormous amount of power because he...
So, what he is explaining is that in order for you to be an alpha male, someone who has an extreme amount of power must pass the power on to you. Let's take a look at our government, for instance. When we have a president, right? Supposedly the people vote the next president in. But once the president is voted into office, they are not officially the president until they are sworn in amongst Congress. A bunch of powerful people passing power on to another individual. So without power, you cannot be alpha. Pay attention.
The alpha male, alpha male. The male on the right is individually the strongest male. He's individually, in captivity you can test that out and you can know that this male has no trouble with either one. He has only trouble with the combination of the two. And so the coalition formation that goes on in chimpanzee society makes it much more complex than you think. It means, for example, that the smallest male in a group can be the alpha male. You don't need to be the biggest and strongest male. The smallest male, if he has the right friends and keeps them happy, or he has female support, he can be the alpha male.
So the smallest male can be the alpha male as long as he has support from colleagues, friends, and women. If his women does not have his back, he cannot be an alpha. If we pay attention to what black men are doing to their women, they're losing support of the black woman. The black woman is no longer marching for them. The black woman isn't going down to Congress and saying stop shooting them, toe tagging them, hurting them, locking them up. But they alphas though. Pay attention.
So the coalition system makes everything complex. And I'm always waiting here in the US for the primaries, the end of the primaries, because that's a moment where you need to demonstrate unity. Now let me first show you how the unity is shown in chimpanzees. What you see here is two males on the left who are standing together. You also see the big canine teeth that they have.
So in order for you to be alpha and obtain power, it requires unity. Are black men unified? What do they do with their weapons when they get them? Who do they use their weapons against? Not just their physical weapons, their tongue, which we've been told is a sword. Who are they using these weapons that they've been given against? Unity. Pay attention.
Standing together, and they demonstrate to the rest of the group, we are together. We are a unit. The males on the right are walking together in synchrony. That's another way of demonstrating that you are together. And so demonstrating unity is extremely important in a coalition system. And as I said, in the primaries, always I'm waiting for that moment, because then you have two members of the same party who have been fighting with each other, and they need to come together at some moment. And it leads to very awkward situations. People who don't like each other need to embrace each other. And
did you hear what he just said? During election time, people, two men of power that have been fighting with one another will unify in order to flex their power. Y'all see black men doing that? If you do, put it in the comment section. I'd like to know. Pay attention.
Together. And that's absolutely essential for the unity of the party. And if you don't do that, the party may fall apart. And so if it doesn't go well, like in this particular case, then the party is in deep doo-doo, because they have not demonstrated unity. So that's a very important part of the coalition system, and that's something that we share between humans and chimpanzees.
So this coalition system that he speaks of, how are a bunch of men who are powerless going to fight with each other even when the world is... If black men were smart, they would at least pretend to unify not just with each other, but with their women when the world is watching them. But instead, they'll get on the World Wide Web, tell everybody that their women are ugly, tell everybody that their women are whores, tell everybody that their women are dumb, tell everybody that their women need to be toe tagged, tell everybody that their women are the reason that the community looks the way it does. They aren't going to support them. They aren't going to protect them. They aren't going to provide anything to them. This is what they do in the face of the world, and they wonder why nobody respects them. They wonder why Brian will put his knee on their neck for 45 minutes while people record, with his arms folded, flexing his power. Pay attention.
Now, how do you become an alpha male? First of all, you need to be impressive and intimidating and demonstrate your vigor on occasion and show that you're very strong, and there's all sorts of ways of doing that. But other things that you need to do is you need to be generous. So, for example, males who go on a campaign to dethrone the leader, which made them take 2 or 3 months, where they're testing all the coalitions in the group, they also become extremely generous. They share food very easily with everyone. Or they start to tickle the babies of the females. They're normally male chimpanzees not particularly interested in infants, but when they're campaigning like that, they get very interested in infants and they tickle them and they try to curry favor.
So when males are seeking to take power from another group of men who are more powerful than them, one of the first things they do is become nurturing to children. Now, black men, they get on YouTube and bring only their child McDonald's. Even though these are children, it doesn't matter. Men of power don't care if it's not their kid. If they're going to feed children, they're going to feed them all, even if they're not theirs, because they want the respect and support of the people. That's how they remain in power. Jews, anyone? That would be jewels. Pay attention.
Else. So in humans, of course, I'm always intrigued by these men who are candidates and hold babies up like this. This is not particularly something that babies like, but since it is a signal to the rest of the world, they need to hold them in the air. And I was really intrigued by when we had a female candidate in the last election, the way she held babies was more like this, which is what babies really like. But she, of course, didn't need to send a message that she could hold a baby without dropping it, which was what the man was doing.
So here's the thing. When people of no color want to gain or keep power, the first thing they do is they start to nurture and feed the children. How do white men do that? They'll increase someone's government assistance. They'll provide different areas where you can go in your city where if you don't have enough food, you can go to a church and pick up food. Or they'll sometimes even deliver it to your home. They have soup kitchens in some cities where a lot of poor people are located. They have food drives. They have different things that gives you access to food if you don't have enough food for your children. Black men won't even spend 99 cents at McDonald's to get your baby a chicken sandwich. Then they'll get on YouTube and say, oh, she entitled. She want me to feed her kids and they ain't my kids. I wonder why everybody calls them weak. Alpha male, pay attention.
A common tactic, and male chimpanzees, they spend a lot of time currying favor with all sorts of parties when they are campaigning. Now, what are the privileges and the costs of being an alpha male? The biggest privilege is females. Food is really irrelevant. Male chimpanzees can go a week without food if there's a female in estrus and they're sexually interested in her. Food is secondary to this.
What is the biggest pro to an alpha male? Being an alpha male, meaning with power, nurturing to women and children, feeding women and children, providing protection. The biggest pro, the biggest gain to an alpha male is women. Black men, why are you on YouTube complaining that you can't get women if you are alpha? Alpha males have women. But you mad at Pookie and Ray Ray because he getting all the women though. But Pookie and Ray Ray will walk right up in your house, go buy all the kids something to eat, go buy all the kids a pair of shoes, go make sure the woman happy, help her out with her bills, take care of her, bust somebody's head wide open for talking to her crazy, and then y'all wonder why y'all competing against Pookie and Ray Ray. Is it because Pookie and Ray Ray is showing true alpha male? Are they true dominant? Are they flexing their power and you're not? Makes one wonder. Pay attention.
And so the male chimpanzees, and we evolutionary biologists, of course, we have an explanation for this, is that sex leads to reproduction, and reproductive success is the measure of evolution. That's how everything evolves. And so if males can enhance their reproductive success by being high-ranking, you get automatically the ambition to be high-ranking in the males. So that's the privilege. The costs, one cost is, of course, that you need to keep your partners happy. So if you come to power with the support of an old male, you need to let that old male mate with females. If you don't do that, that old male is going to get mad at you and you're going to lose him as a partner. So there's a transaction going on. If you become alpha male this way, you need to keep your partners happy. And so that's one of the costs. The second cost is that everyone wants your position. Alpha male position is a very important position, and everyone wants to take it from you. And so you constantly have to watch your back. You have to be extremely vigilant. For example, you have to disrupt the coalitions of others. And that's what male chimpanzees do quite a bit. Divide and rule strategies they have. And so that's a very stressful situation. And we actually have data on this. The data comes from the field, from baboons, not chimpanzees in this case, where they did fecal samples on the baboons. And they analyzed them for glucocorticoids.
So, who do you guys see running around in the world wanting to be black men, running around wanting to take their position on the bottom? Yeah, they'll dress like them. They'll listen to their music. They'll pretend to be thugs if it's going to benefit them in some sort of way, shape, form, or fashion. They will. They'll do that in a second. If it's going to get them some women, some dumb-ass women who think that this is what alpha is, hell yes, they will pretend. White men will pretend to be down with the brown all day long if it's going to get them some bang, bang, bang. Absolutely they will. White women will do the same thing. They'll act just like a black woman. Go get her hair braided, hair weave, talk ghetto, all of that. If it's going to get her some bang, bang, bang. But who rushing to line up to be in the position of black men? Name one nationality of male that's walking around on the planet that want to trade places with them. They alpha though. Pay attention.
What you see here is a graph where you see that the lower ranking the male baboon is, the higher is his cortisol level in the feces. But the alpha male, as you see, has just as high a level as the lowest ranking males. And so you may think that being alpha male is nice and dandy and is wonderful, but it's actually a very stressful position. And we can demonstrate that physiologically.
And this is why black men don't really desire to be leaders. Because being a leader is a stressful position. Who's stressed out in the black community? Is it black men or is it black women? Black men running around here, oh, I'll just go get me a Becky. I don't need you. I don't need you. I'll just go get me a passport and go over to another country. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Who is stressed in the black community? Who are the ones that is bearing the burden of raising the children, creating the businesses, funneling the wealth into the community and not out of it? Who are the ones that are overweight? Who are the ones whose skin is looking crazy? Who are the ones whose hair is falling out? But then they want to run around and talk about you because you stressed out, though. Because they making you stressed out. Listen, Black women, y'all better recognize who y'all is. Y'all the alphas. I mean, that's what friends said. Pay attention.
What are the obligations? And here, for me, it gets really interesting. And it deviates very much from your typical image of the alpha male. The alpha male has two sorts of obligations. One is to keep the peace in the group. We call that the control role, to control fights in the group. And the second is to be the most empathic, the consoler-in-chief, basically, of the nation, so to speak. So first of all, keeping the peace. This is a male who stops a fight between two females. Two females on the left and the right have been screaming and yelling at each other over food, because food is very important for the females. And so he stops the fight between them and stands between them like this. And it's very interesting to me that alpha males, when they do this, they become impartial.
Now, let me ask you something. How many times have you been in public and seen two women in disagreement with one another? Let's say Black women, okay? Because we know they'll go save Becky. We know this. We see many, many examples, thousands of them all over the internet. Let's say two Black women are in disagreement with each other. What are you more likely to see? Are you more likely to see a Black man run up and try to get in between these women and stop this disagreement? Or are you more likely to see them pull their phone out and start recording it to put you on social media to talk about your animalistic behavior and how you have no self-control? Leave it in the comment section. Pay attention.
For their mom or their best buddy, or no, they stop fights and they come up for the underdog in general. And this makes them extremely popular in the group because they provide security for the lowest ranking members of the group. And so they become impartial, which is an unusual condition for a chimpanzee to be in, because they're usually very fond of their friends and so on. And these alpha males who are good at this, they can be very effective at keeping the peace in the group.
They provide security for the most vulnerable people in the group. How many people for many, many years have admitted that Black women are the most unprotected and disrespected species of all humankind? And how long have they been saying this? What Black man done showed that he finna protect and respect and provide some sort of a protection to Black women? Have you seen it? I'm still looking. Pay attention.
The thing they do is they show empathy for others. Now, I do an enormous amount of research on empathy, and I don't have time to go into it, but empathy is nowadays a topic that we study in rodents and dogs and elephants and primates, all sorts of animals. And what you see here is two bonobos. The one in front has been beaten up in a fight. The one in the back puts her arms around her and consoles her. This is also actually how we measure empathy in young children, by looking at how they respond to distressed individuals. And high-ranking males, they do a lot of this. High-ranking males provide an enormous amount of comfort.
High-ranking males provide an enormous amount of comfort to the vulnerable of the species, the women and the children. Pay attention. I'm getting mad.
And they go to places where there are earthquakes or hurricanes, and they provide comfort. The Pope does this, the presidents do this, all the leaders in the world have to do this job, the Queen does it, and so on. They all have to do this job, so providing consolation, and that's a very important task. And males who are good at these two, keeping the peace and providing comfort, they become extremely popular leaders. And there's actually some self-interest involved in it. They don't do it just for the group. because it also stabilizes their position. The more popular a male becomes as alpha male, and the more the rest of them respects them and looks up to them, the better their position is defended in case it's going to be challenged by somebody.
The more empathy and protection he provides to the people, the more people are willing to fight for him if his position is ever threatened. Wonder why alpha males have no power. Pay attention.
Then, of course, the whole group is going to support that male because they want to keep a leader who's good for them. So the group is usually very supportive of males who are good leaders, and it's not supportive at all of bullies. And when bullies lose their position, they may end up in a very bad situation there.
Really?
This is data actually on the consolation behavior. This is data on consolation in chimpanzees, and you see for the medium and low-ranking individuals, the females do more of it than the males. This is basically the whole community. And this is true for all the mammal studies on empathy, is that females have more of it than males. But look at the alpha male. The alpha male does far more than anybody else. And so that's the data on alpha males being the consoler in chief, basically. Last thing I want to say is something about alpha females. Mama, this is a picture of Mama, the alpha female of the Arnhem Zoo where I used to work, who's now all over the internet. I think 100 million clicks at the moment for a video of her dying at the age of 59, which happened last year. And Mama was an absolute centrum of the group. So she was not physically capable of dominating the males. She ranked below the males, but she was the center of the community. And if there was big trouble in the community, everyone would end up in the arms of Mama. And so she was a very important figure. And so I don't want to minimize the position of alpha females in the chimpanzee group. And then we have a species that is equally close to us as the chimpanzee, the bonobo. We often forget about the bonobo, but the bonobos have a matriarchal society. And the alpha individual is a female. Generally, it's a female who's at the top of the community, and we know much less about how this is done and how they get to that position and what they do it, because we know much less about bonobos in general. But I do want to emphasize that the alpha in a group doesn't need to be a male, and that actually one of our close relatives, it is a female. So the message I want to leave you with is that if you are looking at men in our society, and who are the boss of, let's say, a family or a business or Washington or whatever, and you call them alpha male, you should not insult chimpanzees by using the wrong label. You should not call a bully an alpha male. Someone who's big and strong and intimidates and insults everyone is not necessarily an alpha male. An alpha male has all sorts of qualities, and I have seen bully alpha males in chimpanzees. They do occur. But most of the ones that we have leadership capacities and are integrated in their community. And like Amos at the end, they are loved and respected. And so it's a very different situation than you may think.
Very well spoken, Mr. Franz de Waal. Because here's the thing. Women, you're confused about what an alpha male is. A lot of you are running around like, oh, black men, no, I don't want no educated lame. I want me a Pookie and a Ray Ray. I want me a dude that rob. I want me a dude that's a con artist. I want me a dude that's gonna bring me some money. That's not alpha. That's bitch. That's a bitch ass nigga. That's what that is. Listen, if a man does not possess the skills, empathy, protection, okay, dominance, power, there is no way on God's green earth that this man can be an alpha. It is impossible. In some societies, the women are considered the alpha because they're the most empathic. They have the power. They provide protection. They make sure the children are fed. Black women, when are you going to recognize what your position is? When are you going to accept it? Y'all keep running around here talking about how these men are failing you, but the problem is you trying to give them a position that's not rightfully theirs. They are not leaders. Black men don't possess the qualities that you need to be a leader. They don't have it, babe. It's not your failures. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not you not submitting. It's not because you're overweight. It's not because you're masculine. It's because it's your natural role to lead. I mean, how many people got to tell y'all? I'm waiting on y'all to wake up. The universe is too. I'm just saying.